my name is Zizaran, and I'm joined here by Chris Wilson.
Hey, good to see you.
And we are going to be playing some 4.0. This is going to be my first impression, as I have somehow avoided playing it until now, and I'm very excited.
Must have been difficult to avoid the temptation.
It has been. It has been. And people have been throwing spoilers at me, so I know that the bosses are supposed to be really hard. And while we're doing this, we're going to ask Chris questions. And something I think was really interesting and I want to focus on is particularly what have you done, Chris, for GGG? Like, what have you been involved with? Because I remember you told me during one of the podcasts that you particularly had like a lot of hand with the fusings, which are now going away. Like you designed most of fusings and like the way the formulas work?
Yeah, I mean, I've been involved since day one, you know, starting the company, initial design stuff, and since then it's pretty much whatever needs doing outside of that. Like the fusing example was some guy needed to come up with the math on how item linking was going to work. Everyone was busy, so I sorted that out. But it's like, you know, delve balance randomly, just, you know, sorting out the, you know, the progression of different depths and that kind of stuff. This, whatever needs doing for a particular expansion. Like for Prophecy, I wrote a simulator to work out the progression of prophecies you're going to get and the various odds. It's, from a game point of view, it's pretty much tasks that other people are too busy to do that I know I can do a good job with.
So every time we have bad RNG, it's basically your fault.
Exactly. At least, you know, I'm the guy that can get blamed for it.
Wow, this like feels, it's weird playing on a laptop. It feels so weird. Oh, I was not expecting that. Okay. Yeah, if I die, I blame the laptop. Just.
Yep. It was asking you earlier if we could play in hardcore.
That's true, I did do that. Oh. It like feels like a completely different game.
The porcupine crabs there hit very hard.
Yeah, I can tell. Actually, I had to use a pot already. So how much have you been able to play of this?
I've done some playthroughs back in the office, but a lot of my focus, like Jonathan and Eric have been leading up a lot of the 4.0 demo polishing while I was working on core Exilecon stuff and making sure 3.9 was coming along well.
Yeah, that makes sense. It must have been like such a big relief getting everything off your chest.
Yeah, honestly, yesterday was a big relief. Like, recently I've just been waking up feeling terrible in the morning with so much stress preparing for the convention and getting all this stuff ready. And it was nice today to wake up and feel the internet loves me for once, and, you know, it's good.
I'd say the internet loves you quite a bit.
I read all the Reddit comments, though. The little ones that are downvoted at the bottom, they're the good ones.
Yeah, I know, I feel ya. I did the same thing. But still, even with that, I'd say you definitely have a positive aura on most chat channels.
But it's been a great weekend so far. The team are really loving it as well.
Yeah, no, it was very emotional watching you like release everything, and it was great sitting there in the audience getting to see everything. So your role has changed quite a lot because early on you were like, you know, a lot more hands-on, and then as time went on, it changed for you doing more marketing and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Each league cycle, I write all the marketing text, I talk to all the journalists, I approve all the screenshots, I basically make sure everything related to Path of Exile that goes out is something that I've personally checked and made sure hits the right messaging and stuff like that. You know, if we're doing a controversial patch note, I'll make sure to be the person who tweaks the text in it and suggest minor rewording, you know.
So you're the fall guy?
Yeah, I mean, it's my responsibility to make sure that people are happy.
And generally people are. But with all, like, you're doing so much work now, how much have you been able to play yourself lately?
I haven't played on the live realm for quite a while. I'll play on the playtest realms internally before releases come out, check out the new content, but a lot of it's jumping around on cheat characters and stuff to make sure that things work correctly. So that's why I've been deferring a lot of balance-related questions to other team members.
Right.
You know, Mark and so on, Neon, because they honestly are in a much better state of understanding exactly the minutiae of where the game is at.
And is that something you regret? Like, do you wish you had more time to play and stuff?
Oh, for sure. Like, I totally intend with each league to spend quite a lot of time playing, but there's a lot of time spent fixing problems and then getting the next one underway.
So what's the highest level you've ever been able to do yourself?
On the live realm, 86. Hardcore, of course, but maybe it was 88, but one of the two.
Yeah,
it's not in the 90s yet.
I always see you on my friends list pushing away.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, but, you know, I've not played red maps on the live realm, for example, and that's the reason why I should not be working on content that involves red maps on the live realm. But we have a lot of team members that live there, so that's good.
So, like we talked about fusing orbs, especially early on when you were like, when Path of Exile was smaller and you were like doing a lot more, what else were like some like iconic things that you particularly were involved in?
Pretty much anything to do with atomization. The entire progression of stats on all the core base types in the game was handled by me. I was basically the only balance guy for a long time until we hired Carl back in 2011. So technically, the first 4.5 years were entirely me setting up everything from monsters through. So basically, the version the early alpha testers play, every single numeric value came from me.
Wow.
And obviously, it's a lot better now that other people are doing it to do a better job. But yeah, that was my contribution early on. And soon it came to kind of overseeing it and making sure the right philosophies were applied. Any meeting involving items, I'll be in, and I'll just veto ideas that are terrible and are going to hurt the game. You know, I make sure to be heavily involved in any item-related stuff. Just how if anything's being discussed with skills, Jonathan is right there. Like, if there's a skill discussion, I'll get Jonathan, and then I'll leave to go and do some other work, because I care about items, he cares about skills.
Right. You know? And you had an idea for 1st of April that got shot down pretty heavily. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Oh, it was cruelty.
So...
I know what you're talking about.
So for those of you who don't know, wow. So for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, it's for 1st of April, where we did get the Battle Royale feature. Chris Wilson himself wanted us to, I believe it was that every transmute was going to show up on filters as a Mirror of Calandra. And then when the player went to pick it up, it would just be a transmute.
Right, so people are thinking they're getting mirror drops when they're not. Yeah, the team thought it would be kind of bad punishment to give to the players, so you know, too many heart attacks would be caused, so that never happened.
I'm kind of sad about that. I think that would have been really fun seeing everybody's reactions.
Yeah.
Maybe a little too cruel.
What should we do for April 1st next year? Announce a mobile game, or?
Good one. Yeah, so like, how did that work? Like, was that something, because you said you were skeptical initially, so did somebody else come to you and propose that idea?
We've been looking at new platforms for a long time. Like, we had Xbox and PlayStation underway, and so the thing was, we realized that if we did a port to Vulkan, which is a renderer that's used on phones and various other stuff, we'd get Mac support, we'd get Linux support, we'd get support for things like Google Stadia and so on, we'd get phones. It was just worthwhile to do a Vulkan port. So we started that because it's going to be good for all Path of Exile players. We then realized that it's not actually that hard with the Vulkan port to get something running on the phone just as an experimental thing. And we kind of, like, people have been telling us to make a phone version since before we even started the main PC version, right? It was a thing where we say we're making a game and people assume it's a phone game back in 2007. So it's been on our mind, it's just that phone games are done so badly, we had to know we were doing it well. And so we started with just getting it running on the phone as it, you know, as current Path of Exile and see where it went. And we ended up with a good control scheme we were happy with, you know, with a cool, I don't know if you've played the mobile version upstairs.
I'm actually going to do that after this.
Yeah, it's got some interesting stuff where you can like do swipes on the screen to use specific skills, like you swipe down to leap slam or whatever you've configured it as in a specific location. So all of that stuff actually works really well. And so the problem was, is this a real game? Are we actually going to announce it? And then the whole Immortal thing happened and became an unannounceable project for a while.
So if Immortal hadn't happened, is that something you would have announced sooner?
Not necessarily. I mean, it's only been like ready to announce recently, but everything feels very close to announcement as you're working on it.
Yeah.
You know, everything's 3 months away.
This boss is actually fairly hard. And that's very, very interesting because I am level 2. So how is this going to be for somebody trying Path of Exile for the first time?
It's tuned a bit difficult for the demo here because everyone's very experienced, but we still want the game to be hard. This is the equivalent of Hail Rake.
Wow, that is a hard Hail Rake. And I am out of mana.
There are some ad phases where you get some worms to fight, I think, occasionally.
Let's hope one comes soon. Oh.
Checkpoint.
Just like a normal sys stream. Wow.
I think it's up there, yeah.
You know, I was actually thinking, a lot of people throughout today said it was really hard and that they had died, and I was like, okay, bro. But apparently...
You've got a default attack as well for when you run out of mana.
Yeah, but that's not great.
It does actually do damage at level 2.
Not a lot, unless it's changed. But no, this is actually great. So, is this something that's going to get heavily nerfed, do you think?
I mean, realistically, if it eats level 2 new players, that's probably a problem. So yeah, it's tuned a bit hard here intentionally, but we'll see. I mean, we want to make sure the game is challenging, and there's no harm in dying occasionally, even if you happen to have played for thousands of hours as your job.
Right.
Says
19,000. So I want to like cover one more thing. Wow. Okay. Definitely might need, you know, a little nerf, like tiny one. But I want to cover one more thing with the mobile version, because most mobile games end up having insane, or at least some pay to win. But Path of Exile is known for not really having much pay to win. How do you guys feel about, like, yeah, what have you thought about pay to win in mobile games?
We're not going to do it for Path of Exile, right? Like, we're just not going to do all that stuff. It's going to be a PC game on the phone as far as the monetization goes. I mean, if it doesn't make any money, it was a fun thing to do, right? Like, the priority is keep the PC players happy, and then we'll make money there. And if they can have a phone game to also play, it doesn't matter if it's making, like, never once in our projections have we put $1 of revenue on the mobile game.
Right.
I mean,
wow,
we'll still sell micros and stuff, but it doesn't matter whether it does well. You know, it's the PC game's doing well, and that's the important thing.
Wow. That's a really great philosophy. Actually, something I really want to talk about. When Path of Exile started in, well, when was launched? 2012?
Closed beta was 2012 was when we started selling packs. 2013 had open and release.
So we all started with 4 stash tabs back then, but we still have 4 stash tabs back now.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's something that might need to change? Because it can be, well, yeah, I would say it can be like pretty harsh on new players having just 4.
Yeah, you're right, and it does raise the utility value of the stash tabs. The purchases become more necessary. That's a bit of a gray area. It's something we do discuss occasionally. There's other things that are considered, like baby currency tabs, for example, you know, introduction speciality tabs to teach people about why it's a good idea to buy them, and also helping them out a little bit in the process.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone can argue about the amount of content we get with Path of Exile. Like, if I look at other games and other streamers, so many of them can go years and sometimes even more without getting content. Like, some of them will add, like, you know, treasure goblins and stuff like that, maybe 4 treasure goblins. But yeah, it's like insane how much content that we do get. So I think everybody's very, very thankful for that. So with all the leagues that Path of Exile has, do you have a personal favorite that you really enjoyed?
Well, I have a personal favorite I enjoyed working on, which is Talisman for various reasons, but we don't need to get into that.
Really?
In terms of ones I enjoyed, I actually liked Abyss quite a lot. I know it's possibly because of the character I was playing was really enjoyable, but that was a lot of fun for me.
Abyss was actually really great. I did like that. I felt slightly attacked because very recently you were talking, I think this was on one of your talks, you were talking, yeah, this was the big developer talk you did, and you mentioned that Dark Shrine was 3 people's favorite leagues. And it was my favorite league.
We've got 4 players that like Dark Shrine.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. It was popular enough. Numerically, it didn't do very well. It had just come off the back of a long league itself, and you know, it didn't get a lot of players. Dark Shrine was something Jonathan threw together in a couple of days.
Wow. That is insane, because it was like very detailed. For those of you who don't know, Dark Shrine basically corrupted all the normal shrines, and you could put items, items inside them, and something different like would change with either the map or your items. Some of them would like scour your entire inventory. So it was a very, very different league.
Yeah, it looked at the mods on your items, and people had to work out what the different mods contributed to in terms of the modifiers.
Yeah, it was a lot of exploration, and that was sort of before the whole data mining. Like, now everybody knows a little bit ahead what's going to happen, but this was a bit before that. And is there any real way for you guys to prevent that?
It is possible for us to do more data mining protection. Like, the data does, like, physical strings and stuff have to be physically present on the hard drive in order for the computer to use them. But it's possible for us to store them there encrypted and have the server send down the encryption key at the point just before it's required. So it says this item's dropped, you don't know what it's called, but it's number 19, and here's the decryption key, and then, but that's a bunch of work. And is data mining really that harmful? Like, we don't let anything super important get out. Like, you know, no one data mined Path of Exile 2, you know.
That's true. That is true. That did come as a big surprise. So I'm very, very excited, and especially since it doesn't sound like something that is like crazy far away.
Yeah, well, there's a fully playable Act 1 here. I mean, it gets a bit less finished towards the end of it. The players who got to the manor have noticed there is no final boss.
Ah, and how long have you guys wanted to do shape changing?
Oh, we've wanted to do shape shifting for ages. Like, we just needed to find a good way to do it, and it kind of needed the new animations and new animation system, and so it slotted in perfectly with our plans for Path of Exile 2.
It looks very cool. I loved seeing it in the demo or in the trailer. I was hoping it would be playable here as well, because it just looked so smooth switching over. And with we only have werewolf so far.
We have a werewolf and a bear, I believe, you know, internally available, but the wolf is the most finished one at the moment.
Oh, okay, so there are 2.
People were talking about a ascendancy-specific cat form, I don't know if that's been discussed yet on any of the panels.
Ooh, interesting. Yeah, that sounds really, really good. I'm very, very excited for it, especially how it's gonna like change everything. I am not like super familiar, or I don't know how much other panels have talked about it, but what's like the big change when you actually shape change?
So basically, the different forms have different characteristics. We haven't nailed down the exact stats of them. It's going to be, you can only use the attack abilities that make sense in the form. So because you're restricted from being able to use your other abilities, then there are benefits, of course, to being in the form. And so we wanted to make sure that it was very seamless getting in and out.
Yeah.
With the old way that skills worked on Path of Exile, you'd have to wait till you're not attacking and then transform, wait for that to finish, and then do some attacks, and it felt really janky. So this method here, where you can kind of flick in and out seamlessly whenever you want to, means you can kind of turn on and off the benefits of being in that form.
Right. And that's something that changed fairly recently with like all the moves like Flame Dash and stuff like that becoming instantaneous.
Yes.
And that, I feel, was one of the like, especially as somebody who does a lot of racing, one of like the really like feel-good changes for the game.
Yeah, it was part of the big melee redo in Legion. And what we weren't able to say at the time is, so at the time we said, hey, look, we made a bunch of melee changes. What we wanted to say was, okay, so Path of Exile 2, which you haven't heard about yet, has entirely new animations. And we've made a bunch of melee changes that are really good with those animations. And we've made it work with the old ones. So we're releasing it now because it makes the game better, but it makes the game a lot better with the new animations that we can't talk about in the
That makes
sequel.
sense. It must have been a really hard like secret to keep as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So how long has Path of Exile 2 been in like development?
A long time. Ever since we finished Act 10, basically, we started work on Act 1 of 4.0. It was called 4.0 internally. Like, no one on the staff knew it was being labeled as Path of Exile 2 until the decision was made that we're going with that branding quite recently. Like, we had a staff member depart a few weeks ago who messaged me last night with, hey, that 2 decision must have been pretty recent. And that wasn't us necessarily hiding it from the staff, just a matter of the question of, are we branding the sequel campaign in that way? Because we knew Path of Exile 2's campaign is a sequel to Path of Exile 1's story. It's just a question of how are we labeling the actual announcement day. And we feel this is much clearer because it signals to everyone, this is a new 7-act game, there are 19 new ascendancy classes, all the things are new like you'd expect from a sequel. Of course, there's the concern that it causes people to think their old characters or micros are abandoned, but we've tried very hard to communicate that that's not the case.
Yeah, because I think that was one of the first things you guys said as well, and I remember it wasn't that long ago that you said that there would never be a Path of Exile 2 because of that reason. You didn't want people to lose their microtransactions. So that was very interesting. I was like, wait, really?
Well, if we announce Path of Exile 2 as a separate game, you had to like download new characters and new microtransactions, it would be chaotic. Like what would happen immediately is people would stop playing the original one because there's no reason to anymore, because it's all being lost. And then they'd wait for the new one to come out, and then they'd probably be annoyed they don't have the stuff. So instead, by us committing to taking as many features as we can and rolling them out in updates between now and then, people can still keep playing Path of Exile with our existing content schedule, lots of awesome stuff coming out. Path of Exile's best expansions will occur between now and the release of Path of Exile 2. Conquerors being the first of those, of course.
Yeah, it's very, very exciting. That looked so fun. I actually can't wait to play. And that was December 12th, 13th?
Yeah, December 13th.
It's my favorite day. It's Friday the 13th. So that's very, very exciting.
Yep.
And can't wait to see more about what's all going to come out. And can't wait to throw a lot of hours.
Teasers there. Got a few weeks of teasers to
I know. And is Bex going to help with the teasers at all?
Of course, yep.
Oh, that's great.
She was present at the con yesterday doing signing.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to meeting her as well. So it's crazy actually being here in Auckland.
Yeah, it's really good to meet you as well.
Thank you.
I'm trying to distract you away from the monsters that are about to kill you.
I know. I actually didn't think it would be this rippy, but it's like the pace has changed completely. And one thing I wanted to ask about that, like years ago, Path of Exile used to be balanced and focused around hardcore gameplay. Probably because you and a couple of the other lead developers used to only play hardcore yourself. But that has changed recently, right? And has that factored a lot into the recent balance for Path of Exile 2?
I'm still doing all of my balance work around hardcore mode, but I'm doing very little actual balance work myself. So the rest of the team play a variety of modes, and it's good to have representation from the different types, right? Like, we have people that only play SSF. They make sure that SSF players can actually complete challenges and so on.
Right.
Which is debatably successful. And we have people who play standard, we have people who play hardcore. There's quite a lot of different views.
Wait, people or person that play standard?
I think there's more than one.
Wow. Okay, I'm just kidding. It's been around for a long time now, so it's like interesting to see like the population. Hardcore has been like a little less and less people playing, but especially with private leagues and stuff, I've been trying to like coax people into playing hardcore, and a lot of people have been having a lot of fun.
Hardcore is great. Honestly, I enjoy the game so much more in hardcore.
Yeah, it's like the thrill of almost dying.
Yeah, I would turn the other mode off if I could, but I can't. They physically tie me down if I try to do that.
Oh, I feel you, I feel you. Oh, wow. Oh, another boss. There's a lot of bosses early on.
Yeah.
Wow. I wasn't planning for my build to be inspired by Quinn, but I have very little damage.
Is that an attack on New Zealanders in general? Or?
No, just Quinn. Just Quinn. No, I love Quinn. He's great. I got to meet the BlizzCon was actually the first time I met him. So
nice. Yeah, I met him for the first time today.
All right.
Oh, yesterday technically. Yeah.
Yeah, it must be unreal having like everyone and so many amazing, beautiful Path of Exile fans here at the convention.
Yeah, I've met some amazing people so far. It's been really good. We've had like 12 or 13 Shaper kills so far.
That must have been like a little hard, like so many people wanting to kill you as well, just to farm you.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun meeting everyone.
So how many people have farmed you so far?
I've had 12 or 13 actual kills. It destroys all of their items when they kill me, so they can only really do it once.
Oh, okay.
Well,
I thought people were like sharing items to kill you, but that makes sense. So seeing the success of the card game, has that made you guys want to explore doing more with that?
Well, it's difficult because it requires having 100 GGG staff members, a real Zana,
right,
a map
that's something
table.
like an online thing.
Potentially. I mean, we honestly don't have any plans to actually sit down and make a card game. I mean, it would be awesome. Like, I love card games. I spend a lot of my time on Magic the Gathering, but we also lack time, and we have some very large commitments to projects at the moment. I mean, 6 more acts of this to make, for example.
I'm very much looking forward to it. And about that, so there's not going to be any switching between campaigns, right?
That's right. You have to play through in the campaign you selected. Even if it kills you constantly.
Not constantly, just 3 times.
Right.
Okay, I was really hoping not to die. So something I wanted to ask about that, and I don't know if that's something you're actually able to answer, but what if I'm playing on this campaign and Nugian is playing on the regular campaign, and he asks, Ziz, I'm stuck on Dodri, can you help me kill her?
Right. With the current way we have that working, you can't go to the other campaign to help. You meet up in the shared endgames. You're isolated to your campaign. But we're trying to get it so that you can both be playing the same league, essentially.
Okay.
So ideally, and this isn't a promise because it's hard, ideally a new league comes out and you can play to the end game in either campaign. That of course means one of them can't be substantially faster than the other.
Yeah, that's going to be really, really interesting for racing. I could definitely see a lot of people, oh my god. I could definitely see a lot of people ending up with the old league just to get faster to the end game.
Yeah. The old league is 10 acts, though. I mean, the old campaign is 10 acts, so this one's 7, so...
True. But I've been playing for around 20 minutes now, and this is the 3rd or 4th boss? 3rd. That is actually pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's a lot of bosses.
Wow. And it's like, it's got so many moves, like it's actually amazing. I'm like really, and I'm guessing this is going to change a lot with like a lot of new endgame bosses as well.
Yep, the boss team really are getting into their stride of being able to make really complicated fights very quickly. And of course the Conqueror's boss fights are this quality or higher.
Oh wow. Oh no. Wow. Yeah, no, it's great. I'm actually gonna try more on the demos afterwards, I think. Oof. I was hoping the loot would be a little harder, or better, I mean, when it's actually really hard to fight these.
Yeah, well, we're trying to keep the items scarce.
That makes sense.
Yeah, plus honestly, it's early days, right? There's quite a lot left to do, and this has an early version of the decluttering stuff that we're working on as well. Great.
Oh, nice. Oh my, I'm so close. I'm so close. I just want to down him before the end of the session.
Yep, we have what, like 45 seconds left, and you've got to run down to him and freezing pulse him 3 times? Will you make it?
I can 100% do it.
You managed to not RNG your way into a Quicksilver.
Oh no. Do you think they'll actually pull me off stage?
I mean, I can get in the way of them.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
I'll just stand there next to you and stop
You'll defend me? Nice.
Yeah.
All right, we're almost there.
Okay.
No, but seriously, like, thank you again so much for inviting me here to New Zealand, and
it's been a lot of fun.
An absolute pleasure being here.
Great to meet you and everyone else who's come over. It's so cool that people care this much about the game.
Hopefully this is the first of many. Oh, come on. I just wish I had Orb of Storms.
Yes. Congratulations, man.
We did it. All right.
Well done.
That is
Okay.
a good place to end.
Thank you so much.
My name is Zizaran. This is Chris Wilson. Thank you so much. And to everybody watching on Twitch, you're all beautiful.